Why are some exercises dangerous? This is a question that people have different answers to. Some believe that there are intrinsic ranges of motion that are more risky than others. Some believe that the load you use is what causes the possibility of injury. I believe it is a degree of both. However, I am those who believe that load matters more than the specific range of motion. When you see exercises deemed dangerous, they always tend to have either one of these qualities. 1. They put the joint in a very disadvantageous position, where strength or torque production is ineffective and tension is high. 2. They involve either maximal flexion, extension, or rotation of the joint. 3. The movement pattern has specifically not been worked on and the joint is weaker than expected. The preacher curl is known to be a risky bicep exercise, at least at the beginning of the range of motion. The starting position of a preacher curl puts the elbow joint at a completely extended position, which is the weakest position. Both the biceps itself and its tendon are completely stretched. Not only that, but raising the arms and putting them in an inclined position increases the lever disadvantage at the beginning, making the tension to be already present at the stretch position, whereas in a standing bicep curl there is no lever disadvantage at the beginning and therefore no tension at the elbow. Something very similar to the beginning of the preacher curl but in calisthenics is any kind of supinated planche or a supinated back lever. 1. It puts the elbow joint in a disadvantageous position where torque production is ineffective and tension is high. And 2. It involves maximal extension of the elbow joint. These two exercises are known to be risky for the bicep tendon. In the worst cases, the tendon will completely rupture from the excessive tension. However, the difference between strengthening and damaging your joints in these three exercises is the load that you use. If you consistently use heavy loads in these risky ranges of motion that are in between 8 or 9 rate of perceived exertion, you will at some point injure yourself if you never auto-regulate. However, you will never face big problems if you do these exercises with moderate to light loads, unless you do crazy volumes. The question is, why not consider it dangerous and completely avoid them? If you have ever injured yourself, you will know that completely avoidance of ranges of motion and sedentarism is never the solution, and the same conclusion can also be reached when completely avoiding some exercises. When you injure yourself, you lose function of the joint. Function is both strength and range of motion. You might have been able to do complete shoulder flexion before, but now that your shoulder joint is injured, your range of motion is completely limited to your shoulder height. If you never do any exercises to strengthen your shoulder joint, you will never recover full range of motion and strength. Moving your shoulder past shoulder level will always be painful. When you think about it, rehab training is just strength training with mobility exercises, but scaled down to your injured limits. If you completely avoid the range of motion that causes you pain, and you never try to slowly strengthen and gain back that mobility, you will never completely recover. Therefore, strength is health and health is strength, at least if you're natural and not obese. Another reason why you shouldn't completely avoid riskier exercises is that one of the reasons they might be more risky than others is that you never do them. Basically, a self-fulfilling prophecy. One benefit from exposing your joints and muscles to maximal flexion or extension positions and disadvantageous positions with ineffective torque production is that if you're able to expose them at those conditions, then they will become, as many people say, bulletproof. Think about it. If they are exposed to the worst conditions possible and able to recover from that, then when they need to be used or if you put your body in a weird position, then they will be strong enough to not be damaged. If they could be damaged if they were weaker. Avoiding specific exercises and ranges of motion will make you weaker, and your joints will also be weaker. For example, a wide grip handstand push-up involves nearly maximal external rotation and maximal shoulder abduction of the shoulder joint. At first glance, this combination sounds deadly, especially when your body doesn't have a fixed path to go, and you combine the instability of the handstand. However, one of the reasons this might be riskier is because people simply are not strong at either external or internal rotation of the shoulders, and when they are exposed to movements that require a significant load and rotation of the shoulders, they get injured. An example is the muscle up. It requires external and internal rotation of the shoulders, and it is a significant load. Some people might injure themselves because their back is strong, but they have never exposed themselves to significant internal or external rotation of the shoulder joint. That is one of the problems of categorizing exercises as completely dangerous. You never get to become strong at different ranges of motion or angles, and when you need to actually use that angle or range of motion, your weakness will be noticeable and you might injure yourself. This dogmatic perspective about dangerous exercises might cause you to lack the diversity of movement that your body is made for. An injury is simply damage to the joint or any other tissue in that joint. You can do the most safest exercises with loads that are not challenging at all and still damage your joints with excessive reps, sets, frequency, or loads. And if you never rest, then the joint will never heal and you will get injured. Does this mean that because because you can get injured with the safe exercises that they are not safe at all, or the fact that you can get injured with safe exercises means that you should 100% avoid any exercise deemed dangerous by the majority of people. It means neither of them. It means that instead of watching a video about dangerous exercises and thinking that you will not get injured by avoiding those exercises, that you should put auto-regulation above all of that as a way to avoid injury. Auto-regulation simply means that you should believe in your instincts and feelings. If your joint feels a bit funny, maybe it is because you do too many reps and sets, or maybe you always use a RPE 9 load. Simply decrease one of them. You can see the past workout sessions that you have done, see a pattern, and reach a conclusion that your elbow hurts because you involve the elbow joint every day with really high effort. Auto-regulation means to listen to your body, to see your past behaviors, and to make an adjustment accordingly, because the change that you probably need to make is completely dependent on what you are doing right now. Therefore, general advice is not enough. If somebody tells you to lower the volume, you might need to lower the load or something else.